What's going on, everyone? Talon back here, and today I want to start my new series, which I wanted to start back when the game originally came out, but we didn't have spectator mode. So I wanted to do kind of an in-depth analysis, or to the best of my ability at least, to go through each of the maps and kind of show the routes you can take, the best ways I find to take an objective. I'm focusing on Conquest in this particular video, and what better way to start than with the brand new DLC map that we've had for about a week or two, give or take now. But I thought it would be cool just to go over it. I'm going to start one end of the map. I'm going to go all the way to the other. I'm going to point out some cool points about it, some spots that you might want to watch and be careful of, and how to capture the objective the best way possible, and which way is best to flank around, how to take your vehicles up, what weapons to bring, that kind of stuff. Hopefully it helps a lot. This is my first time testing it out, so it's still kind of, trying to figure out exactly how it can work, and I think I've got a pretty good way of doing it. The only thing I mess up on, and I say sorry in the video itself as well, but I do mess up on stating what flag is which. I accidentally call E, F, and D, E, so I just messed up exactly on what flags are which, but nonetheless, it's still, any tip I give still applies, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let me know down in the comments below what you think, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. So I will now turn it over to the actual guide. Alright guys, so we are in spectator mode right now, and I'm going to show you the best ways that I personally have experienced while playing this map, however limited it may be, to how to flank the enemy, how to get the best positions to capture the points, and to get up into the center. Because when you get into the center of this map, it becomes a, well, war zone essentially. So first off, and by the way, I do apologize if you hear any of these little tick, 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 tick sounds in the background. That is my keyboard, but this is the best setup that I currently have possible. So first off, if we're starting on this side right now, we are going to move in towards our first flag. And we're going to go up here a bit, okay? So as you can see, it's kind of a normal little town here with some trains that you can all go inside. And if you remember from Battlefield 4, you could close the train doors to the compartments and everything. But I don't really think you can do that on some of these, like mostly out here. If you go into the center here, I think you can close like this one. But this door, to my knowledge, you cannot close. The doors on the buildings and everything can easily be blown out or close itself, or you can just kind of ram into it, essentially, is what you want to. But the flag is right here in the center, and the area itself is about, give or take, in here for the radius capture of the flag itself. So you can't, unfortunately, hide like in the back of the building here, if you can see my mouse right now. This is where you can't really hide and get in there, unfortunately. But, nonetheless, you can, I think if you're lucky enough, you can sometimes get in here, but sometimes not. It's really hard. I find personally the best areas are to go straight in here. If you can hide kind of around in here, I'm going to go up a bit. And if we can go right in here, then this is usually the best spot to hide. No one can really see. You can kind of crawl in right here. Then people really can't see you sometimes. They know that you're there because it's always going to show you, flag being contested and everything. But you're never going to know exactly where they are, and you can generally get the drop on them. Generally, what I find, though, is if it's best to have one person right here, and then if I go to the other side here, sorry, this is still a little new to me, and I need to fix this how fast it goes. If you go a little bit over here, though, and you have someone else facing right here, and you have two people facing out sideways underneath the train compartment, then generally you have a pretty good chance of taking the flag without anyone really noticing you. Now, if you have a tank, though, on the other hand, that you have to deal with, my personal opinion is to get off the point and get into the buildings here. If I want to raise the camera up here a bit, I'm going to go up here, and I usually get into one of these buildings. Usually the tanks will start to fire at the buildings, but they generally try to fire down on the first floor. If you're up on this third floor or even the second floor, log a couple of, anti-tank grenades and everything. You've got the anti-tank rocket launcher and everything. Fire that, and you can definitely hit them. Using this window perch here is really, really nice. You can just fire right down on top of them. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Do not forget, some people also like to hide in the barns back here and everything, which are also can be a bit of a pain sometimes, but this can all be destroyed and everything. You can probably play some log games here and everything where you blow up the logs. In terms of other buildings around here, you'll see a lot of people usually hiding back in here along the logs. You generally see a lot of close quarter fighting in here too, and usually if you are coming from your spawn point over here, so this is your spawn point over here, kind of these buildings-ish here. If you come around and you notice that enemies are around here, generally when you come in here, they're going to be waiting for you. So best to sometimes just hop the fence. I usually hop the fence about right here, and what this allows me to do is that it gives me that cover from the logs. Now, if someone's waiting there for you, or they just happen to be there and they turn around and see you, well, then that's just a little bit of bad luck, personally, in my opinion. So, and then if we scroll around over here, we've got even more buildings and more trains. You can definitely get a lot of close quarter fighting in here. You're not really going to find most people out here. You might find a couple of snipers here and there if they're trying to let people just spawn on them. But without the added benefit of the spawn beacon from past Battlefield games, you're not really going to see that anymore. So I wouldn't really worry about it unless you keep seeing that your flag here keeps getting taken over and over again after you've reclaimed it. I would definitely go check those areas out, but overall, I so far have not seen anything to really need to watch that place or always have one player sitting there all the time. So definitely keep an eye out for that. After that, if you if you get the behemoth, which is the train itself, that is the behemoth on this level, it literally comes straight through the level. So you can capture E here, and you can continue down the track. So you can't go and capture D, which is the next one over here, which I'll get to in a second. But this track does eventually lead around to the enemy spawn point, and it allows you to capture the point over here in the destroyed behemoth over there. But first off, let's go over to D first, okay? So we're going to come up over here. And this is D. Not much to D. It's actually kind of a small capture point. So the flag itself is, here's the flag point right here, okay? If you see this pole right here. And the radius is about in here, give or take. You can't, I think you can hide in the shack. Correct me if I'm wrong in the description below. Or in the comments below, my bad. But usually, let's see, if you go up a bit, I think if you're right here in the first half of the barn, you can capture. But if you're in this back point, I don't think you can. Like I said, though, correct me if I'm wrong. The only downside to this flag, and which I really wish they had worked a little bit more and given us a little bit more cover, is that you are very susceptible to a lot of fire up on this hill. If the enemy controls the first 3 points, including this behemoth, then they can easily rain some fire down on your D point here, and you won't survive very long, especially if you're trying to capture the points. If the parts of the barn don't work, like I think they don't, then this is really your only cover right here. And these logs themselves cannot be destroyed to my knowledge, but nonetheless, just getting that fire, that mortar fire coming down on you, it really can hurt quite a bit. So definitely got to keep an eye out for that, and it's not very fun. Also, watch out for enemies going up into the top of the hills here. They have a very limited range with the border of the map. I think the border cuts off about right here, give or take. But nonetheless, you do get some enemies. You always see them running along up here, and they'll fire down from right here, and they'll hit you all the time, especially since the barn here is very susceptible to explosive damage and can get destroyed very easily. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And then, unfortunately, if they are able to get that, there's not much cover in the way until you get back over here to E, which can be very, very painful. So definitely use these walls to your advantage right here, although I believe they can get destroyed just like anything. So definitely keep an eye out for that. So next, we're going to be moving on to the big point itself, and that is going to be C. So this gets very, very intensive right here. You always get tanks coming around on the outside here. If you happen to hold all 3 points, you see a lot of people using this hill to fire down over here or fire back down towards D, which can be a very, very big pain depending on how good your team is. If we go inside here, though, you're going to see these dropped gondolas here. Or not really gondolas, but they were part of the behemoth if you played any other levels. You can jump on and grab this turret right here, but it only faces this direction, facing the enemy. So if you are coming from E, then you're at a bit of a disadvantage. You can't really use it unless people are ignoring you and you're able to just, quickly crawl in here, grab it real quick, and then just jump on it, and you can just mow people down like no tomorrow. And before I do anything, I'm going to up the camera speed here a bit. Let's see how that works. A little bit more. Let's go with 71. So, okay. Oh, sorry, not camera speed. I went back down to 40. I want camera sensitivity. Let's try that. A little bit better. Okay, let's up it a little bit more. How about 81? Okay, yeah, a little bit better. Yeah, that's a lot better for me, actually. Okay, so anyway, so we come back in here, though. You always see people throwing gas. It's very easy to throw gas grenades in here. You can lob them through any of these little holes here in the burnt carcass of this behemoth here. You see a lot of fire in here. A lot of people will use these little containers here as cover. But as I said before, a lot of people will try to use gas if they can to just flush you out. So the best thing I like to do personally is if you come out here, if I can... Oh, it's not even going to let me come out. Okay, so if I go down here, I'm going to come back up. We're going to spin it around. Oh, and here's another one. If you happen to grab this point coming from the D and E flags, then you can grab right here. And actually, the more I think about it now, there's 6 flags on this. I just realized this. There are 6 flags on this map. Just shows you how well I haven't really gone through this map, but I've tried my best to do it nonetheless. This should be F-E... D is the center one, and then it's CBA, I believe. Or maybe I'm wrong on that one. This might be C as well. But anyway, Oh, sorry. No, I'm sorry. There's 2 flags in here. This is C down here. This is D. This is E. This is F. And that's A and B. Wow. Sorry. Totally sorry about that, guys. You know, sometimes you just don't, without seeing the map, sometimes you forget exactly which ones you have. But nonetheless, if you have these 3 flags and you're trying to get this, or you're trying to get B down here as well, you can jump in here and use the turret on this, I believe. Yep, right here. Just like that. Okay. So anyway, so what I like to do when it comes to trying to flush enemies out of here, try to throw a grenade into one of these holes if possible. If you have a tank, definitely roll it up right in here to start firing in there. That's really helpful. If you have the land ship, that's very helpful to use because your turrets can, your side cannons can also help you flush people out. And then you need to get a couple of people in here, some good assault rifles and submachine guns, and just start laying waste to the enemies here, because that definitely helps a lot, and you definitely have to take them out fast. This flag is always going to be going between each team, no matter how good your team is, unless you are just steamrolling the other team. Definitely a good chance to try and take them out, but if it really helps, though, if you have the behemoth in here, if you happen to get the train in here, Mr. Choo Choo, then you can definitely start taking the point right here, because here's the flag right here, this little point right here, and then the other flag is up around here, too. You can start taking this point with the train, and you can start firing in here if you've got like the anti-air guns or just the regular guns on the train itself. The mortars are very hard to get in here. Note that again. The mortars are very hard to get in here. If you're able to land a nice, perfect shot between all of these destructible areas, not really destructible areas, it's indestructible areas, then it destructs your mortars like no tomorrow. But if you can get in the creeks right there, then you're really good to go, and you can really rack up some good points, okay? So, coming back around this way, though, these houses aren't really used for much. I usually see snipers out here. They can be useful sometimes if you're trying to just, you know, maybe pick off a few enemies that are hanging around in here. But overall, not many people will hang out around in here. And then if we come around here is B. A lot of people, lots and lots of people love to hang out in these houses right here, especially on this 3rd floor. They'll like to blow a little hole in there, and then you start firing and picking you off if you happen to be only hanging around, you know, this little barn area in here. I don't believe this house allows you to capture the flag, but it's nonetheless a good spot to just pick people off if you're sniping, and it can be very, very helpful. If it gets really cloudy, not so much. The fog can definitely obstruct your vision, so definitely be very careful about that right there. Tanks, as always, can destroy these buildings, so not too much going on there. And the train can roll up around here. One time I was using the train myself, and a lot of people were just parked right in here, or they're parked around the backside here with mortars, and just going pop, and then bam, right down on top of the train. So the train can be very susceptible to damage, and don't forget about this tower over here. A lot of snipers like to get up here with K-bullets just to stop you from repairing sometimes if you're in a normal tank. On the Behemoth, the K-bullets don't do much, but, you know, people can also go up here with AT rockets and just fire down upon them. It can hurt a lot, so definitely be careful about that. And then finally, A, which is going to be right over here. If I can find the posts. There it is. So here's the post for A. Here is the final point for this. Again, a big village, just like the opposite side where we started, although no trains essentially. The Behemoth itself cannot capture A, but it can still fire in mortars and just basically rubble kill everybody hanging around in these buildings here. You can capture the flag from in here. In this building, not so much, but you can definitely capture it around here. But you got to be careful if that Behemoth is on you, because if the Behemoth is just raining mortars down and this is the only flag you have, then it can be very, very painful. On the other hand, though, if you get the Behemoth on this other side, so if we come around here, and you're getting spawn killed over here, and you come in with the Behemoth, and everyone on the enemy team is trying to take this point, or is taking this point, just come in here with the train, boom, fire some mortars in there, get some other people with some mortars, get some AT rockets from maybe over here on this side of this barn, and you can start wiping out tanks left and right. If you're able to get in close and personal, though, in these buildings, make sure you're bringing those submachine guns, because they have the highest rate of fire to help you there. I believe some of these windows, some of these windows do have the turret, so if you happen to grab this if you came from the other side of the map and you are trying to spawn kill them, or maybe you are trying to get some people off of the A point because you're able to sneak around and you're trying your counterattack, you can definitely use this mounted gun here to take people out if you need to, but it's hard to say. It's got a very low angle that you can actually hit people at, so you gotta be careful because you are a sitting target on this turret here. And unfortunately, it'd be really cool if you could hit these, if you could use these turrets here, or these cannons, but nonetheless, unfortunately, we can't. So don't forget, everything is pretty much destructible. The only thing that's not destructible is some of these logs settings up here. So if you come over here, some of these logs areas over here, they cannot be destroyed, but you can hide behind them, which is always really nice. And of course, the burnt Behemoth down here that is collapsed is non-destructible as well. Everything else, though, free game. Start creating those mortars in the ground, you know, create those trenches if you want to. This hill right here is a very pivotal point. It definitely creates a lot of tension because a lot of people will get on this hill. You start seeing firefights right in here. Like this team over here will have F and E, and then the other team has D through A, and it's just a stalemate essentially half the time. And that can be a little bit of a pain sometimes, but nonetheless, if you're able to break through or bring a tank up here, roll a tank up on here, and you should be good to go and taking them out. Unless, of course, they have their own tank, then you got to see who is the better tank master, and that can definitely help right there. So overall, though, it's not a bad map, Giants of Shadows here, but in the long run, it's not my favorite map, to be honest. It can be still pretty fun. It's a free map. I'm not complaining by any means of that. But nonetheless, I would not say it is the best map. It can definitely create a lot of tension, a lot of choke points, unfortunately. So that can be a little boring. There's not a lot of different routes you can take, unfortunately. Like, you know, on other maps, if they have A and E or something like that, then you can definitely flank around to D, and, you know, you can really move around the map a lot. Whereas with this, you really can't do that much. And unfortunately, that is what I do not like about the map. It definitely works a little bit better on Rush, and I will be covering Rush in another video here soon. But nonetheless, that is the best way to go about with Conquest. If you're coming around from the other side, it's kind of the same thing. Take A as fast as you can. Use these buildings as cover to your advantage. The best buildings, I would say, to hide in if you are trying to take it is obviously going to be this building right here. Even if you're not taking A right here, you can still get up in this building and lay some fire down on people if they are fighting for the flag. And then, of course, going over to B here, capture this as best as you can, and then go up to C if possible. Definitely try to get some people over here to D really, really fast in the beginning of the match, and that can help you out a lot because, like I said before, you're going to come into a stalemate eventually, and it can be a real pain to try and get out of that unless you happen to get the train or you get some really good squad teammates going and maybe get a couple of tanks in there as well. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, that's going to be about it for the video. That is my kind of layout and how you want to push about in Conquest when it comes to this map. I'm mostly focused on coming from the F side of the map, but the same thing kind of applies over here. Unfortunately, you get a couple of buildings here on A that can help you, whereas with F, you had more of the trains, and you go under the trains if you wanted to help you out there, and that can be pretty good. But D is very susceptible to fire. Same with B, although not as much because you do have a couple of buildings. But if you get a couple of people up here in tanks, they can definitely start firing down onto B here itself. So just be careful because the buildings themselves can come down and can definitely be destroyed. And C and D here can definitely get into a heavy, intensive fight. Watch out for gas, watch out for incendiary grenades, watch out for grenades, watch out just from random fire. Be very careful. Try to use the outside if possible, and that can definitely help you if you're trying to take this point. And if there's fog on this map, which there is fog, and it can get really, really thick, definitely be careful because you're going to die from all corners sometimes. So that can be a bit of a pain. So anyway, guys, that's going to be it for the video. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought. Sorry again for making a mistake on which flags were which. Sometimes you just simply forget. So that is my bad. I am totally sorry about that, and I will admit that. But nonetheless, I thought, you know, finally with spectator mode out, I can finally start to do these little map guides and everything. What's the best route to take in certain game modes? I focused only on Conquest this time. Rush won't be too hard, but I still want to jump into Rush to show you exactly where the MCOMs are, because there are a little bit of different things you can do, but nonetheless, I want to do that. And then I'll also be hitting up Operations, although Operations might take a while because we still can't enter spectator mode, to my knowledge, in that. Let me know down in the comments below if I am wrong, though. And yeah, other than that, guys, that's going to be it for the video. And subscribe if you are new, and leave your comments down below about what you thought about it. Give me some constructive criticism, because I do love making these Battlefield videos. So I'm gonna keep pouring them out if possible. So anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for the video, and I'll see you in the next one.